Hello and welcome to yet another YouTube video here on this channel. If you're new to the productivity space, you might not know this, but around like May, June, July, so the mid-year point, and also around like November, December, there are releases coming out like everywhere in the productivity space, which means that when I am trying to cover when I'm trying to cover all of the productivity, quote unquote, news, I have to like film a lot of videos and I have to film a lot of productivity news videos because we have a few things. So, first, we have Craft. They had a huge announcement or a huge update. I won't go too deep into everything there because I'm doing a whole video on the Craft update. One thing that I will go deeply into when it comes to Craft is this mobile web feature. Or the mobile web application, call it whatever you want. I think it is supposed to be a progressive web app. That one I will cover because I did not cover that in the upcoming video. All of the other things I will cover in the upcoming video. We have a Pocket shutting down, and we also have a Todoist experimental feature. So actually, let's start off with this Craft announcement. So Craft did a lot of things. As I said, I won't go too deep into all of this, but you have like email to Craft, navigation improvement, better search, whiteboards, collections, but you also have a collections enhancement, but you also have this, which is mobile web. It doesn't look like it is actually a progressive web app. It looks like it is just in like you open your browser and you go into the application. I'm struggling a little to see exactly what it is. They actually, if you go into the announcement here, there isn't much about mobile web. Like here, they have an they have their own like uh, let's call it a page, announcement page. That is probably what they called it. But it doesn't say too much. Like, we're expanding Craft beyond Apple devices with our modern mobile web app. So it is supposed to be a mobile web app, the full editing experience to any browser, capture ideas, organize thoughts. So basically, you can use it on mobile. That is what they are trying to do with this release. It is currently available to, like, you can join the wait list. It is closed beta and it launches in just a few weeks. So once it launches, I will test it out on my Android device to see how good it is. I currently have a Craft subscription and I use it a lot to write because I think it is a really beautiful application. I would have expected an Android application instead of a web app. I think like applications are better, and I hope they at some point will come out with an application. They haven't said anything about it, but I am really hoping that we get an application instead of this web app experience. Even though this is better than having nothing, it isn't as good as having the full experience. It is currently, like, Craft is currently available on Windows, on iOS devices, on the iPad, on the Mac, of course. So it is actually widely available. The only thing they're lacking is, like, I don't think they have Linux, and um, of course not Android yet, but I like the like, it is a good start, but I want to see where it continues to go from here with the mobile web. As I said, there isn't much about this, but it launches in just a few weeks, so we will just have to wait and see. So that was the Craft one. Let's do the Todoist one. So Todoist has something. Well, this isn't new. It is kind of new. Um, this is the latest like experimental feature where you can use your Todoist or your Todoist assistant, AI assistant, to actually just break down a tasks for you. So basically what you can do is that you can see like a suggested subtask button. You can press on that button, click it, and Todoist will suggest subtasks based on the task title and any available context. Um, from there, keep the ones that are useful, skip the ones that aren't, refine the suggestions by giving custom directions like focus more on planning the trip itinerary and and nothing. Generate a fresh set of suggestions based on your updated input. So you can basically um, re-prompt it if it does not work. It is a part of the Todoist Assistant, which I actually use Todoist a bit, but I haven't used the Assistant that much. It isn't something I use regularly. I am also not like a Todoist I am not a part of the like I don't get the Todoist experimental features. You can turn that off on and off in your settings. So let me just turn that off and on. Sorry, I've had a long day. Let's turn that on and we can try it out. So I went ahead and I also actually changed my language to English so you can actually see this. I am going to a wedding in I think it's a few weeks or so. So let's try that. Actually, it is over a month. Let's do plan or pack for wedding. Pack for wedding uh, on July to 4th. Let's do 4th. July 4th. So perfect. Let's add that task. I added it into my inbox. So let's go in here. And let's find the subtasks button. So it has the suggest subtasks here you can add, but let's try to suggest. Let's see what it comes up with. Make a list of items to pack, gather clothes and accessories, pack toiletries and personal care items, pack shoes and accessories. I actually don't think this is too bad. I will give this a thumbs up based on the context it has or it does not have. I think this actually does a good job. Of course, it will be different with bigger tasks. It all actually depends on like how much context it has and also what kind of task. Like this was a really simple task to get subtasks for. So it is again not the perfect example, but this will be something I will play around with going forward. Last thing I wanted to touch on is Pocket is shutting down. This is 2 days ago now, I think. Um, they have decided to shut down Pocket on July the 8th, uh, and Pocket will then no longer be available. After 8th of July, Pocket will move into export only mode. Users can export saves anytime until October 8th, after which user data will be permanently deleted. Pocket has helped millions save articles and discover stories worth reading, but the way people use the web has evolved. We're channeling our resources into projects that better match their browsing habits and online needs. You can read more about their decision. This is from Mozilla, the company that runs and owns Pocket. Um, there are a few like read it later applications that have shut down lately. I am a little sad about it because I used to use Omnivore. If some of you remember that application, I used to use Omnivore. It shut down last year. I changed to Pocket. It is shutting down this year. Now I'm using My Mind. I don't think that will shut down, but I think this brings like an important discussion going into the future about like sustainable applications. Both Omnivore was, of course, a little different. It was free and open source. Um, Pocket has had an extensive free plan. It was a freemium model, but you would get everything you needed from the free plan. That was what I was using, and there is this issue with free or freemium with a lot like not enough reason to upgrade to the premium plan. It is really hard to keep those businesses, those applications going. So it makes sense that it ended up in this way. Um, but it brings up the question which I've talked about, and I'm doing a whole podcast episode on like read it later applications shutting down. Um, it brings up the conversation around should we pay for our applications? Do we have too many subscriptions? Like this whole thing I've talked about a couple of times before. Um, but there are great options out there. If you want a free option, you can always use your note-taking app. We also have like Obsidian Base, which I think it's called Obsidian Base. It is called Obsidian Base. It is the Obsidian databases combined with the Obsidian Web Clipper can actually do a great job as a read it later application. Notion can do it, like My Mind is another one. You can do it in your note-taking app, or if you want a read it later application, we still have Instapaper. We have a Reader from Readwise, and the last one is Matter, which is, I think, iOS only. But there are good options out there. Some of them are expensive, but it brings up a whole question, and it around like payment and applications and subscriptions, and it is really sad to see Pocket go. But that covers it for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will try to get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching today's video.